Hey, 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 happy holidays. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host, here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by, shockingly enough, thegaminggang.com, of which I happen to be the founder and editor-in-chief. So welcome aboard. Tonight is Tuesday, December 12th, 2023. This is live stream 997. Yes, a week from tonight will be live stream number 1000. I'll be talking a little bit about that after the news tonight. Talk about some changes that are going to be going on as far as the dispatch as well as the channel. So we'll get there in just a bit. So, do want to point out, if you are not overly familiar with this show, super casual, just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news, and sharing a first look at a game. And all week long, it is Everyday Heroes Week here on the Dispatch, and we are going to get things kicked off with a look at the core book. Oh! It's heavy. 461 pages, I believe this is what it clocks in at. Yes. So we're going to dive on in and take a look at the core rulebook. I do believe that Everyday Heroes is built on the mechanics of 5e Dungeons & Dragons set in a modern era. So we're going to take a peek at that in a bit. And then later throughout the week, we're going to look at some of these cinematic adventures for Everyday Heroes. And I'll talk about that later in the show as well. Now, if you are tuning in because you want to check out that live first look at Everyday Heroes, do want to let you know that we tackle the tabletop gaming news first around here. So it'll probably be about 35, maybe 40 minutes before we get into that first look. So if you're watching live, kick back, relax, enjoy yourself. I know it's only Tuesday, but it's okay. Hopefully, maybe you're a subscriber and you can take part in chat. I'll talk about that in just a sec. But if you happen to be tuning in 30 minutes or more after the show has ended, there will be timestamps. So if you're an impatient type, and you just got to get to that first look, you can skip past the cool tabletop gaming news I've got for you tonight. I know, you'll miss out, but if you got to get to that first look right away, you'll be able to. And those timestamps will be located in the show notes, or depending on the device you might be watching this on, could be right there in the timeline of the video itself. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more that you will not find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Lastly, this is a live show. That does mean there is chat available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. And you must be a subscriber for at least 48 hours to the channel to take part in chat. I mean, you could be a subscriber to Sports Illustrated for 48 hours. It's not going to get you anywhere here. Might get you a swimsuit issue, but it's doesn't matter to me. You won't be able to take part in chat unless you are a subscriber to this channel for 48 hours or more. I almost just said 48 minutes. It's hours. So, of course, if you want to say howdy, maybe get a question, a comment, maybe there's something about everyday heroes you want to get a closer look or learn more about, chime in. I will do my best to respond. First out the gate tonight is our friend Kathy Evans, and the Motor City Madman himself, one of our chat moderators from the Detroit area, is with us. Good to see the Madman. Tessie Trekkie is here. Flaming Heron, our chat moderator from across the pond, is joining us, as is Kevin R. Smith. And I'll take a guess, our third chat moderator, although I don't rank them in order, just third in appearance, I guess. Sarah D is probably hanging with the gang as well. So welcome aboard, everybody. Let's get on into the news. Because arriving January 5th is Maps of Mystera from Sit Down Games. Here's the skinny. In Maps of Mystera, you play as explorers, having discovered a mystical and unknown island. Your goal? Explore the island and complete your personal and hidden objectives while proposing a correct cartography of the island to earn maximum points. To set up, place a central board representing the island on the table and give each player a personal map they will use to transcribe their discoveries. Each turn, players choose 2 actions from among the following. Move their explorer pawn on the central board. Discover new terrains close to your explorer pawn, choosing from 4 randomly drawn tiles. And claim control of areas. A type of terrain on the central island must be explored twice before being validated. Thus, the unvalidated terrain types can change. You thought you saw grass? You were mistaken. And then your personal map will no longer match the central board. You have to find the ideal balance between your personal objectives and a correct cartography of the island. Maps of Mystera is for 1 to 4 players, ages 10 and up. Plays in around 45 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $34.99 when it arrives in the first week of January. This could be pretty interesting. I would like to try a cartography game. I have not played any cartography games outside of, let's see, and it really wasn't a cartography game. What was it called? The League of Explorers? Something along those lines. It was from AEG. It was okay. It was all right. We got a kick out of it. It was pretty cool. Some of the gang liked it more than others. I was sort of like, yeah, I had fun. I would play it again. In fact, we played it 3 times. Still were enjoying it the 3rd time, so that's saying something as well. So, like the art style for this also. Yes, Sarah D is with us. Says if you see sparkling in the shadows, she's playing with glitter again. Oh, I thought maybe she was a vampire from, the hell's it called? Twilight. Obviously, never saw any of the movies, never read any of the books. I'm just not that sort of guy. I like, good literature, good films. The Madman's asking Sarah D if her banhammer is a +1 glitter bomb. Moving right along, there is a new money-saving offer on the Traveler role-playing game. Yes, we're talking Mongoose Traveler 2nd Edition. And it has arrived over on Bundle of Holding. I've got the deets on the deal. Traveler! We've resurrected our May 2021 Mongoose Traveler 2nd Edition bundle, featuring the 2020 2nd Edition Traveler Tabletop Science Fiction Role-Playing Game line from Mongoose Publishing. This Traveler revival once again gives you everything you need to play any science fiction RPG campaign. Desperate battles across the stars, free traders operating on both sides of the law, grungy cyberpunk cities, or campaigns spanning entire galaxies where mighty empires clash and suns explode. Traveler lets you explore the universe the way it suits you. For just $17.95, you'll get all 3 titles in the Player Collection, which has a retail value of $100, as DRM-free PDFs, including the complete Mongoose Traveler 2E starter set, which includes the rules and the Fall of Tanith campaign, the versatile Traveler Companion Rules expansion, and the newly released Central Supply Catalog Update 2023. This version of the Central Supply Catalog replaces the older version from this offer's original May 2021 run. If you purchase this offer during its original run, you'll actually receive a new version of the supply catalog automatically on your Wizards Cabinet download page and in your linked DriveThruRPG library. So, when you buy a bundle of holding early, I don't know if I'd say it being early. That's why I would say when you buy a bundle of holding, if they update it, you normally get what they've added later on, even if it's much later. If you pay more than the current threshold price of $29.59, you'll level up and also get the entire Referee Collection with 10 more titles worth an additional $114. So all in all, you can get about $215 worth of PDFs for the current threshold price of $29.59. Includes the Essential Ship Design Supplement High Guard Update 2022. Again, ditto with the supply catalog. If you got this earlier, you'll get that update too. Along with the High Guard Deployment Shuttle, the Vehicle Handbook, 6 short referees briefings, and the referees screen. These savings are going to run through January 10th. 10% of your payment after gateway fees will be donated to Direct Relief. Now, I should mention, I've got Traveler news all week long. So we will have another Traveler news piece tomorrow and Thursday as well. So what I've got to say about this bundle of holding is this. For one, it says it's a starter set. I have reviewed the starter set. The starter set includes all of the rules. It is the Traveler rulebook. It's just simply broken up into 2 books, soft covers, as opposed to 1 hardcover book. It is not a starter set like Call of Cthulhu's starter set, or Pathfinder 2nd Edition, or Dungeons and Dragons. It is the full-fledged core rulebook. You are not missing out anything in picking up the starter set. So there are a lot of folks out there, and I gotta be honest, I'm one of them. I feel Mongoose Publishing prices are a little high. Sometimes more than a little. So if the price for Mongoose Traveler 2nd Edition has been holding you back from checking it out, and once again, I reviewed the starter set. It is excellent. This is a perfect opportunity to jump on board Traveler, because you are looking at, as I mentioned before, about $215 worth of PDFs for less than $30. Now, it might be a few pennies different than $29.59, because that threshold price always changes. But that is a rocking deal. That is of the equivalent of what we see over on Humble Bundle. Those kind of savings where you're paying 10% of the retail price for the PDFs. And Traveler's really good. I really like Traveler. I like the Mongoose Traveler 2nd Edition. I feel that it's got the spirit of original Traveler without getting too insane into, and I mean, Trust me, there's crunch involved, but not like the other editions of Traveler that are out there currently. Roger Perdome is with us in chat. Flaming Heron says the Mercenaries release for Traveler is more interesting, which is, of course, the other bundle of holding that's going on right now. I am not going to share a news piece about that tomorrow. I'm actually going to share a news piece about the latest Traveler release, but I will talk about the Mercenary bundle of holding on Thursday's show. So yes, there are two mints in one. Now with Rutson, 2 bundles of holding going on featuring Traveler. Very, very nice. Let's move on to the next news piece, because currently out in PDF for Blades in the Dark is a new setting, City of Red Waters. And I've got the skinny from Evil Hat Productions. Welcome to Inverouge. City of Red Waters is an alternate setting for the best-selling Blades in the Dark role-playing game, featuring new heritages, backgrounds, vices, crew types, and more. Keep in mind, this is not a standalone product. You do need a copy of Blades in order to play. Inverouge is a bustling colonial metropolis burdened with a complex and unpleasant history. The land here is rich from 100,000 years of care and 100 years of blood. All that is sacred, beautiful, mystical runs through the veins of its peoples. Hot and red. Blood is the essence of life and soul in Inverouge. It seeps into the soil, conjures ghosts on the cobblestone streets, and lures demons from murky depths. In the City of Red Waters, colonialism makes vampires of us all. Inverouge sits on the mouth of the River Sange, making it a major port for the mighty steamships that pass through. Its music, cuisine, and culture are the envy of the modern world. Situated among dark trees and still waters, the city fills itself with intoxicating local produce and drapes itself in finery from every corner of the world. The daylight hours present a facade of fashionable modesty and business-like propriety. But at night, Inverouge erupts into a cacophony of lights and music and a dozen clashing styles. Here in the City of Red Waters, there are opportunities for decadence, ambition, and monstrously alike for those with the cunning, wealth, or brutality to seize them. In this 52-page supplement, you'll find an overview of Inverouge, 7 new heritages, 7 new backgrounds, a new system for vice and overindulgence, 3 new crew types, details on the 9 regions of Inverouge, and write-ups on the 18 factions, all vying for control of the city. This 52-page PDF is available right now over at DriveThruRPG for $10. I say it whenever I talk about Blades in the Dark. I have never taken a peek at it. I certainly would like to. I am intrigued because I do like Powered by the Apocalypse. And yes, I know this really isn't powered by the apocalypse, but it does share some DNA with it from what I understand. And I've heard a lot of people crow about it, that they really, really dig it quite a bit. I think maybe one of the things that's held me back on checking it out is you're kind of playing villainous characters in a world just full of villains, I guess. Kind of curious. Kevin R. Smith says they're going to have to see exactly what they have to see if that bundle of holding is worth picking up. So Flaming Heron points out, yep, they stopped buying releases on DriveThruRPG directly because they end up getting all the bundles. Well, not everything that's on DriveThruRPG comes out in a bundle. Tessie Trekkie says they've enjoyed a variety of the Forged in the Dark games that play into the city and gang mechanics, also tells me to try Band of Blades instead. Aren't you playing mercenaries in that? Isn't that what Band of Blades is? It's more fantasy as opposed to, isn't Band of Blades sort of urban fantasy-ish? It's not really high fantasy or anything like that. Kind of curious. Let's move on to my final news piece. Following a successful Kickstarter run, the Mythcraft fantasy role-playing game is now available in PDF, and I've got the scoop from QuasiReal Publishing House. Embark on an unforgettable journey. Within the pages of this tome, you'll find everything you need to create heroic characters for the Mythcraft role-playing game. Choose from countless combinations of lineage, background, and talent options to design exactly the character that you want to play. The core rulebook is an essential for any game master or player. In addition to extensive player options, this book also contains all of the basic rules that you need to play the game. Mythcraft offers a uniquely customizable role-playing experience. As you explore grand fantasy worlds, you must rely on your diplomatic words, your keen senses, and your sharpened steel. Your actions have consequences, and your legacy may be heralded or decreed for generations to come. Vast, undiscovered realms await you. What myths will you craft? Mythcraft is a new tabletop role-playing game universe and system developed by QuasiReal Publishing House in 2023. Mythcraft offers an expansive and customizable system for the fantastical adventures at your table. There are 11 separate classes, 14 unique lineages, 23 individual backgrounds and occupations, and so many talent points and spells. That means thousands of unique mechanical builds available in the base game. Mythcraft is approachable for new players, but it's packed to the brim with the complexity that players crave. Features include reimagined combat with familiar D20 mechanics, but an intuitive and tactical action point system, complete with ways to increase your maximum AP, holding over AP, and reactive AP. Gain an attribute, and talent point every level. There are thousands of unique builds in the base game. A fresh take on spellcasting with 5 unique and distinct sources of magic and hundreds of spells. A full BOP, backgrounds, occupations, and professionals system, means ways to develop your character beyond just combat. Built from the ground up to be modular and integrated upon, Mythcraft has plans to span 4 distinct super eons, from low fantasy prehistorical dinosaur wars to post-apocalyptic to spacefaring space operas. Right now, you can score the 367-page PDF of Mythcraft over at DriveThruRPG for $4.99. Sounds like a pretty good deal. Flame here says, damn, this RPG's going for a song. It is. It is less than $5. So, and it had a rather successful Kickstarter. I think it brought in about somewhere between about $120,000 and $130,000, I think. Yes. Although I have heard it is very, very light on the artwork. Don't know if that's the case or not. I mean, I'm sharing enough artwork right here from it, but I saw a comment, and it was talking about how, I guess, the purchaser, reader, what have you, was very, very surprised how after like a certain point in the book, there's almost no artwork. So, don't know. But hey, for $4.99, You can pick it up and use it for some ideas. It does give me the impression that it's sort of a mix of tabletop role-playing game as well as computer role-playing game, especially with that talk about the action points, which, yeah, if you think about it, Pathfinder 2nd Edition's 3 action economy essentially is action points. But I don't know. But yes, this caught my eye, and yes, that price tag also caught my eye. So I thought I would share that with you tonight. All right, that is it for the news this evening. Of course, I was just talking about DriveThruRPG. Don't forget, the Dispatch, the Gaming Gang and the Dispatch is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to visit DriveThruRPG or Dungeon Masters Guild, Storytellers Vault, Wargame Vault, what have you, any of the One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first, click on one of our banner ads, and that way if you happen to make a purchase, I get a small portion of that sale, which is 5%. In case you're ever curious, it is 5%. So all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do add up and help keep thegaminggang.com around. Thank you very, very kindly, everyone. I should also point out, if you like this video, if you dig the channel, if you find thegaminggang.com to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always stop on by paypal.me/thegaminggang to make a small donation. Yes, you can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda if you'd like. And I do have to point out that Kevin King recently popped on by paypal.me/thegaminggang and made a not so small donation. And of course, once again, thanks to all of you out there who made a variety of donations towards the new laptop. It is cranking along very, very nicely. In fact, I'll talk about that in just a sec. Our friend Chad from Taiwan is with us in chat. Flaming Heron says, don't worry, Jeff. They're buying enough for DriveThruRPG. Oh, I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are. Somebody else is in chat I didn't say hello to. Anthony Good. There we go. I was just about to say, good to see you, Anthony. And then I thought, that sounds kind of stupid, right? Nice to see you in chat, Anthony. Yes, Anthony Good is with us. Good to see you, Anthony. Just doesn't sound right, or at least it doesn't in my head. All righty. So anyways, that was the news for tonight's episode. Couple of things, well, 3 things I'll talk about. Make it relatively quick. First of all, week from tonight will be the 1,000th live show. Yes, it'll be the 1,000th episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch. And, well, I take that back. It won't be the 1,000th of the Dispatch because when I started doing the live stream, it was the Daily Dope. And then, because that's what I had called the weekday podcast that I started doing when I was still out in Arizona. And then I think I did that for a couple of months and I was like, it's a little too much doing the podcast. But it was all like the news and stuff like that. So when I started doing the live videos, it was Daily Dope and I was streaming both on YouTube as well as Twitch. And I would get and I get it. I would get, odd, strange folks floating onto the chat thinking it was a drug-related stream. It's like, No, dope as in news. You know, I've got the scoop. I've got the dope. I've got the dope on that. So anyway, so it's not truly the 1000th episode of the Gaming Gang Dispatch, but it is the 1000th live stream. So there is that. It still counts as 1,000 in my book. And it looks like I will simply do the news and then follow that up with an AMA. And if you want to get questions in ahead of time, by all means, please email me at jeffmcaleer@thegaminggang.com so I have those available. Flaming Heron says, the dope was dope. It was essentially the same show, really. Jack Hanks is with us in chat. Good to see you, Jack. Talking about the laptop, working great. Just popped up some new videos. You may have missed those. Talk about that later in the show. And I did notice that the rendering for the full videos is running about a third of the actual time of the video or length of the video, which my other laptop, it was close to the one-on-one. So if I was rendering a half-hour video, it took about 25 minutes. Now, a 30-minute video is done in about 11 minutes. So pretty nice, pretty nice. So I am enjoying that tremendously. And once again, big thank you to all of you out there who donated, because there would have been absolutely no way in hell that I would have been able to have gotten the laptop I've got now just out of my own pocket. Just would have been impossible. Marius Smith is with us. Good to see you back and hanging out with us. So those two items, and then the final item, as I mentioned, I talked about this last week. When I do the live stream next Tuesday, which will be number 1000, I will then, I guess I'll say, the duct tape studio will go dark until January 2nd. Now, that doesn't mean I'm not going to be shooting other videos. There just won't be any live streams. And then when I come back for the live shows in January, it is only going to be the news and then probably a little bit of discussion afterward. So I've had some questions about my decision on dropping the first looks from the live shows. And every once in a while I do a review, but for the most part, it's always first look. And the main reason I'm doing that is because I think the format of the show, where it's news and then a first look at a game, is not conducive to a lot of viewers. Because as we already know, a vast majority of people out there cannot sit still for more than 10 minutes. So anything, when people see the show is an hour, hour and a half, sometimes hour, 45 minutes, they're like, oh, absolutely no way. No way I'm going to watch that video. Not knowing that there are timestamps there that they could utilize and just skip past whatever the hell they don't want to watch. Which I don't know, is that something, is that a problem with younger people? That they just have videos just playing and they don't skip ahead? Seems to kind of be what I'm encountering, is older people who are tech savvy are like, I'm not watching that. Boink! I'm jumping ahead. Boink! Or I guess younger people, they just sit there watching it. So I don't know. I don't know. So Flaming Heron says some people are stupid saying it. Yeah, that's true. It's nothing to be ashamed of saying that. Yes, there are people who are stupid. And yes, unfortunately, in our hobby, we've got probably a far greater number of cranks and doofuses than we need. So the Madman says they have the opposite problem, unable to not sit still for 10 minutes or more. So anyway, so yeah, that's basically why I'm changing that up, is that when people see, oh, it's a 30-minute show, it's just, the tabletop gaming news. Yeah, maybe we'll get some new viewers in that. I am not like married to this by any stretch of the imagination. So I figured I'm going to try it for a month, see what happens. Because like I said, it's not necessarily just viewership on the live stream. It's viewership on the first look. So I'm sure that there are some things that I have shared first looks at that if it was a 20-minute video, yeah, like getting me to do a 20-minute video, right? Because we know it's 30. It's going to be 30. Even when I sit there and I go, okay, I'm really going to try to get, to move through this relatively quickly. It's like, oh, wow, that was 22 minutes, huh? Okay. Here I was thinking that was really fast. I guess not. So that is the other reason why, is to see if we can kind of, get the numbers up a little bit, because I will say, compared to, say, a year ago, the viewer numbers for the live show, but, they're higher. They are certainly higher. It is funny, though, how I do notice when I'm doing board game news, well, not board game news, board game first looks, depending on what it is. If it's a GMT game, we can usually get a halfway decent number of viewers. But when it's just a board game that some people are, I should say most people aren't familiar with, far fewer views than when we're looking at role-playing game stuff. So there is that. So anyway, a couple of questions I got. Number one was, will there still be interaction with people in chat? Yeah, absolutely. For the live stream is still going to be the Gaming Gang Dispatch. That's not changing. It's going to be the news, just like usual. And then after the news, maybe discuss what's going on in the world of tabletop games for that day, if anything. Otherwise, it'll just be like, oh, hey, okay, everybody. See you tomorrow. See you next week. So there will still be interaction. It's not like, oh, I'm just doing the news and just talking to the camera and that's going to be it. And hey, okay, so long, everybody. No, not at all. Flaming Aaron asks, still getting good numbers for the Dungeons and Dragons releases? No, not really. But I think that is for everyone out there. Everyone who is not a D&D shill, I think the numbers are down. I don't even think my review on Planescape has cracked 1,000 views yet. Yeah, and that's saying something. Because you have to keep in mind, I've got D&D videos. I think the top views on one of the D&D videos is over 30,000, which still, I mean, compare that to like a D&D channel, that's not much. Like what is that girl's name? Ginny D? I think that's it. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing her name or if I'm getting her name wrong. I know she gets huge numbers of views. But once again, she's absolutely, she fits into the category of influencer, right? If you follow me on Twitter, man, I hate that. I just, people who call themselves influencers are just scumbags. They really are. Because they really offer nothing to the world. Yes, usually they're attractive. Yeah, okay. As I used to joke around with my friends, they'd be like, well, yeah, oh, your girlfriend, yeah, she's nice looking, but she's not super hot. And I would say, well, yeah, because you can only fuck for so long and then somebody's got to open their mouth. So, anywho, yeah, and when people call me an influencer, I'm like, oh no, absolutely not. I am not an influencer. Do not call me that. I'm a reviewer. You want to call me a critic? That's fine. I am a reviewer, because the whole thing is critics and reviewers, the thing that they're talking about, that is the star of the show. Influencers, it doesn't matter what they're promoting. They're the main attraction, or they think they are the main attraction. Kevin R. Smith says, thanks to YouTube and Instagram, everybody can be a Kardashian. They still won't have those Kardashian bucks, because even the Kardashians had the Kardashian bucks before they became the Kardashians. So Anthony Good says, no wonder Hasbro's laying people off. Yeah, their sales numbers, I believe, are down. I haven't heard anything. As far as how well they've done. And then, of course, they've got the delay with Deck of Many Things. So that was supposed to be out for the holidays. Now they're talking about maybe January, because I believe it was supposed to be out last month. End of last month, I think. Flaming Aaron says, I class you as a reviewer, Jeff, because you actually review games. And also keep in mind, when I share a first look, it is not a review. There are just far too many people out there who they watch the first look video and they're like, oh, hey, that was a great review. It's like, no, that's not a review. Just because you watch people out there claiming to be sharing reviews where all they do is regurgitate the specs from the manufacturer and then go, yeah, that's great. It's not a review. It's an overview. So Tessie Trekkie says, thanks to Modiphius and Star Trek Adventures, everyone can be the Kardashians. Yeah, good point. Very true. All right. So anyways, that was one. And then the other question was, what are you going to do with the brief intermissions? There'll still be a brief intermission. I figure I'm probably going to put up like 5 news pieces each show. So I'll probably slide in the brief intermission after the 3rd. So yes, there will still be brief intermissions. Have no fear. So there's that. Speaking of, we're going to be diving on in to take a first look at the core rulebook for Everyday Heroes here during Everyday Heroes Week in just a few moments. But first, I think it's time for a brief intermission.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
In the early 1900s, the toys kids wanted most for Christmas were a piggy bank and a Lionel train. In the 30s, kids' 2 favorites were tin soldiers and a Lionel train. By the 50s, it was coonskin caps and a Lionel. Every Christmas, kids have their favorite toys.
Midnight Flyer!
And every Christmas, one of them is a Lionel train. Why just give a toy when you can give a tradition? Lionel.
You know what I got for Christmas? A bad cold. Picked up a cough over Los Angeles, stuffy head over Denver, aches over Chicago. Mrs. Claus brought me all these medicines. All I need is NyQuil Vicks Nighttime Colds Medicine. Got that in Boston. NyQuil alone relieves the same symptoms as all these, so I can get the rest I need.
Got everything?
Yep. NyQuil alone does it all. She's the best present I ever got.
I grew this rose in Wilkins coffee. Why? So I could have the beauty of a rose and the fragrance of Wilkins. Nickel, nickel, to-do-la-da-da. Nickel, nickel, to-do-la-da-da. Pepsi Cola hits the spot. 12 full ounces, that's a lot. Twice as much as a nickel to Pepsi Cola is a drink for you. Nickel, 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 Pepsi Cola is a drink for you. Pepsi Cola hits the spot. 12 full ounces, that's a lot. Twice as much as a nickel to Pepsi Cola is a drink for you. Nickel, 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 Pepsi Cola is a drink for you.
I think those girls would have drowned in the time that it took Pepsi and Pete to drink those Pepsis. It's like they're like 10 feet away from the hole in the ice. They're like, oh, the dog shows up. Okay. It's like, oh. Okay, we're ready. Done with our Pepsi. Russell Higgins is with us in chat, as is Oric Lovegod. Welcome aboard. I believe this might be a first-time visit for Oric. So thanks for hanging with the gang tonight. And it's kind of funny. I noticed a bit back there was some discussion of bite-sized content and TikTok and things like that. Madman says they've noticed even with his own kids, when they were small, all the shows they watched were just instant gratification. One joke on top of a joke on top of a joke. No build-up to a punchline, anything like that. Yep. And some of the most god-awful character design and animation ever. I swear, I think whoever came up with that trash Nickelodeon look, Rugrats, and yes, I have seen some episodes of Rugrats, and as a cartoon, it's fine. But the animation, the art style is absolute dog shit. And unfortunately, everybody decided they were now going to be cheap and put together the same kind of just god-awful character designs. Just really ugly animation. It's not as bad as it once was, but it's still pretty bad. Alrighty, so tonight we are going to dive on in and take a first look at Everyday Heroes from Evil Genius Games. This is written by Siegfried Trent, Chris Goober Ramsley, D. Todd Scott, and Jeff Grubb. This 461-page hardcover is available now. Does carry an MSRP of $49.99, or you can grab just the PDF alone over at DriveThruRPG for $29.99. So let's swing on over to the other camera, because here I've got Everyday Heroes. And the first thing I'm going to do is take the shrink wrap off. This is a seriously hefty book, folks. No doubt about that. So before we dive on in, do want to mention the fine folks over at Evil Genius Games were kind enough to provide me with this review copy. But neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the gaming gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. These days, it's very, very important that you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page, obviously enough, because there's 461 of them. But I do want to give you a good feel for what you're going to find inside Everyday Heroes. Now, I know one of the big selling points for Everyday Heroes right now are their cinematic adventures. When this kickstarted, I think they had 10 that they were looking to release. I think they've released about 8 of them. And we are going to look at 4 of them this week. Talk about that in just a bit. But we're going to look at the core rules, which my understanding is this is built on 5e Dungeons and Dragons. In fact, right there, it is 5e compatible. Get into the action. From the excitement of blockbuster action films to the combat options and tactical gear of first-person shooters, adventures in contemporary settings offer a wide range of opportunities and challenges. The Everyday Heroes role-playing game provides everything you need to run a modern-day campaign, be that car chases, computer hacking, radiation hazards, or just lots of guns. Well, if it's taking place in America, yeah, there'll be lots of guns. Along with flexible rules to create characters from hard-bitten soldiers to genius inventors and masterminds, these rules open the doors to playing through nearly any present-day plot line. This complete core rulebook for both game masters and players brings the ease of the 5th edition of the world's most popular role-playing game into the modern era. Russell Higgins asks, do I need to work out to tote this book along? It's no joke. Now, we're not talking 600 plus pages like some core books we've seen, but it's quite a few pages. I was going to say, I get the impression that the paper stock is going to be pretty good, and it is. One of the other reasons why, not sure what that QRC there was for, but whatever it is, I'll just flip past it. I think it was for a soundtrack or something. So we are going to have an introduction. We've got part 1, heroes, so it's going to be our character creation here. And it looks as if that's going to take up about 180 pages. Then we're going to get into the core rules and then the game master section. So the core rules look like about 60 pages, a little less. And then the game master section here, about 160 pages. So we get a forward here from Jeff Grubb. Picture the world outside your window. Then imagine taking part in your favorite movie or novel or streaming series set in the modern era, complete with fantastic action, danger, car chases, and explosions. And even better, you're the hero of the story, setting out to stop the villains and save the day. You can do all that and more with the Everyday Heroes role-playing game. So this is built on the SRD, released in 2002. What do you need to play? You don't need much. Some friends or friendly strangers to play with, whether in person or online. Copy of the Everyday Heroes core rulebook, set of dice, pens, pencils, paper, real or virtual. All right, so we hit the what is the role-playing game section. What is a role-playing game? The book currently in your hands. Style of play. So first few pages look like it's kind of our just intro to role-playing games. So there are 3 approaches to creating your hero. So you have concept first. This approach is useful when you already have an idea for what kind of hero you want to make. Rules first. This approach assumes you know the game rules and you have a notion as to what you want the hero to do in combat. Or a just wing it approach. This is a good way to make a hero, as good a way to make a hero as any other, If you don't know what you want to make, let the process guide you along. 6 steps in creating our hero. Step 1 is coming up with your concept. Step 2 is background. So right away, we see that this is going to fall into the premise of characters being everything, which is what we see in especially 5e D&D. Story's not necessarily all that important. It's not. And that's one of the things that strikes me as being so different these days than back in the day when this was a brand new hobby and I was getting into it. And we see far more effort and energy devoted towards the character aspect of adventures than the adventures themselves. Now, I'm not saying that's the case here with Everyday Heroes. What I'm saying is I can see that the focus is going to be on the characters, which just like 5e D&D. So we've got our strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. So we've got our 6 traditional stats. It's like we've got our usual range of 3 to 18, although it's going to go up to 20 here. So we have it looks like a few different options as far as how we can go about generating our attributes. The man says, Russell Higgins, duffel bags on wheels work wonders. Unless you're in a convention. If you're going to San Diego Comic-Con and you decide you're going to go in the exhibit hall or even in the convention center, period, please do not have a duffel bag on wheels. I can't tell you how many times I've watched someone trip over them. Thankfully, I have never done it, but I have come close to falling over people with their little red wagons with little kids in them and all their purchases. That's more ridiculousness. So it's like, I know it's all about them, right? Yeah, it's all about them. Okay, so we've got standard set, 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, and 8. Assign where you want. A point buy. So your scores start at 8, and then you have 27 points. And this is our point costs. So once again, it looks like your highest is going to be 15 because of the point cost. And that's where it cuts off. Or you can roll your ability scores, which is our traditional way. It's like some information about raising ability scores. Tell you what, I am very impressed with the paper stock. Now there is a little bit of a sheen, but it's not terrible. Seems to be a little less sheen than we see on, say, a D&D book. But yeah, this paper stock's nice. This will hold up. And I know that is something when we start looking at hardcover books, 300 plus pages, the higher the page count, the more likely that book is not going to hold up very well at the game table. But it looks like the binding here looks like we got a fabric binding on it. So very nice. Definitely digging this. All right, so let's see. What do we got? Backgrounds. Activist, art lover, bookworm, caregiver. Rural family, survivor, technophile, wealthy family. Speaking of those Kardashians. Then we've got professions. Now, I have heard some people claim that Everyday Heroes is a woke role-playing game. For one, I think that's kind of odd to brand something, a game as being woke, but you know, I've also talked about how people misuse that word, but I don't know why, because there's looks to be a Greek Orthodox priest on a motorcycle. Oh yeah, it's woke. It's religious. They're pushing Greek Orthodox Christianity with this game. How can you not see that? Anyway. But the reality is, the way I look at it is you write for the audience you want to bring to your game. So my understanding is Evil Genius Games is made up of a variety of different people of various stripes, and they are looking to appeal to gamers such as themselves. Whereas when we see, you know, a lot of old school Renaissance games, they're written by gamers who are looking to attract audiences just like themselves. So we got archetypes and classes. Hero level. Hero level represents how experienced and powerful a hero is. All heroes are first created at first level. The maximum hero level is 10. Levels are gained through the process of adventure and play. This process is in the hands of the GM and is detailed in part 3 of this book. You can play everyday heroes and make characters of a higher starting level. Some adventures call for higher level heroes, and some famous action movie heroes represent a more experienced hero than first level characters can emulate. So we've got strong heroes and the talents that they have as they level up. So I guess these are considered our classes. So we got Brawler. See, I'm going to skip here. MMA Fighter. I don't know. That guy doesn't look like an MMA fighter to me. Looks like he's getting close to being a sumo wrestler. Martial artist. Jackie Brown. Sharpshooter. I will say the artwork is kind of a mixed bag so far that we've seen. We've got Bodyguard, Scrapper, level 9 talent, Ultimate Brutality. Kevin R. Smith's pointing out, so it looks like we may have class groups based around each ability score. That is very possible. So here we've got smart heroes. Yeah, I could skip past this because I don't fall into this category. So we've got engineers. I don't know. Does that look like an engineer to you? Very well could be, to be honest, but that would be more, to me, that would strike me as somebody who is like a gamer or something. Here we've got a hacker. Well, it looks like we've got, there we go, bookmark there. Looks like we only have one though, I think. So of course there are more than what we're taking a look at because I am skipping pages here. We got the mastermind. Must be a relation to Doogie Howser. Scientist. Then we've got wise heroes. And jump into some kung fu. That is a TV show I never actually got into as a kid. I've had a lot of people tell me that it was a really great show. Just, I don't know. For one, I don't think I could buy David Carradine. Even as a kid, I couldn't buy David Carradine as being Asian. So we've got the hunter, we've got the master. We got a cult leader in here. We got the sleuth. Then we got our charming heroes. The duelist. See what I thought that would have been? Dexterity hero, agility kind of hero. Leader. Manipulator. Oh, look, it's an influencer. Okay, so then we get into finishing touches, which would be figuring out some of the, it looks like we've got some derived stats here. So speed, skill bonuses, weapon attack bonuses. So you're going to work on your persona and your motivations, what sort of attachments you have. Biography, their beliefs, their appearance, their virtues, and so on. All right, now we're going to get into gear. So it looks like we're going to have price levels, how accessible these items are going to be, gaining and losing wealth. So let's see. So we've got equipment packs. That's cool. The badass pack. Everyday pack. Mechanic pack. Weekend warrior pack. So there's a few starting packs. And then we got specialized kits, such as a forgery kit, survival kit, chemistry kit. So melee weapons, ranged weapons, explosives, armor, shields, improvised weapons, military equipment. So to kind of get an idea how these get broken down, we've got grenade launcher, machine gun, a light machine gun, medium, heavy machine gun, anti-material rifle, assault rifle, assault carbine, or carbine, however you'd like to you prefer to pronounce that. I always say carbine. Submachine gun. And then we got everything else. Talking about ammunition. I always felt the original Top Secret was a pretty well done modern era role-playing game when it came out in the early 80s. And that was a role-playing game that had quite a lot of useful information that was published in Dragon magazine. Now, of course, I have heard that the new edition of Top Secret is absolute trash. So, all right, so we have feats. So some of these feats that we've got here: Animal Whisperer, Brute, Fast Hands, Impersonator, Jack of all trades. You get a bonus on skills you're not proficient with. So these are all minor. Then we've got major advanced feats. Fortune's Fool, reroll 3 attacks, saving throws, or ability checks per day. Perfect Shot, shoot multiple opponents who are lined up. Got multi-class feats. Oh, so I guess you could multi-class. You could be, say, strong and charming. So getting all the information about the various different feats. So we've got the feats broken down by the type of hero. So we've got advanced engineer training, mastermind training. So you got the wise heroes, hunter, master, sleuth. You also have advanced sleuth. Okay, so we're going to get into the game rules. So this is obviously not a core rulebook that we need to have the SRD available for. Everything's going to be in here. We don't need to own any Dungeons and Dragons books so that we have the rules. So right away, we're going to see a discussion of advantage and disadvantage, adding or removing dice, our difficulty class, look to be identical to 5e. Easy is 10, difficult 20, near impossible 30. Just getting into our skills. Yep, it's going to give us a bit more information on utilizing the skills. What is that skill and when would you be using it? So, stealth, skill uses, blend into a crowd, cover your tracks, create an ambush, create and use camouflage, create distractions, hide objects, hide yourself for others, as well as move quietly. So we got saving throws. So you have saving throws for all 6 of the attributes. Different conditions, blinded, prone, unconscious, stunned. So are we getting into combat? Yep. So now we'll get into combat. So actions you can take: attack, brace, clear, jam, dash, disengage, dodge, gain ground, help, hide, first aid, interact with an object, reload, ready. So you can delay an action, specifying a chosen action to take place if a given trigger condition occurs. For example, a character might say, I ready an action to run using the dash action if the bomb is activated. You can search, get a second wind. So you can spend up to half your maximum number of hit dice, adding your Constitution modifier to each die rolled and regain those hit points. So I would take a stab in the dark that even though this is a modern setting, that this probably does not have a really high lethality factor to it for player characters. Now, of course, the NPCs, the mooks, the minions, oh yeah, I'm sure they buy the farm pretty easily. So there's some discussion about owning books and having PDFs. I like having both, to be honest. If I'm going to kick back and spend part of an afternoon or part of an evening reading through a role-playing core book, I like having the physical book because then I just kick back with the book and I'm reading it. If I am just going to take a quick peek at something from a core book, or maybe I want to take a look at an adventure from an adventure collection or something like that, usually I'm fine with just the PDF. So we've got traps. So this is all the various different rules. I was going to say, I'm sure we've got some chase rules, and that is exactly what we see here. Chases and vehicles. During a chase, each side keeps track of chase points, which start at 0. The participants on each side are aiming to earn points for their side while avoiding giving points to the opposing side. In a race, each racer, whether an individual or a team, has their own chase points. If a complication during a race would normally give the side opposing the heroes a chase point, it instead deducts a chase point from the hero's side. So then we have chase rounds, chase turns, combat limitations during chases. I find chase rules to be some of the trickiest mechanics in a role-playing game. So as an example, if you follow the Gaming Gang in any stretch, you know I run Call of Cthulhu. I've run Call of Cthulhu for decades. It is my favorite role-playing game. I'm not a fan of the latest edition and its chase rules. Just not. I find chase rules to be kind of tough to put together. I will point out, just reviewed the core rulebook for Savage Worlds Adventure Edition. I kind of like the chase rules. But every game, they just tend to be real tricky to pull off. A lot of times, I just prefer to do theater of the mind more than anything else. Okay, so here we have the Game Master section here. So it looks as if the focus to start off with is on combat. So these are obstacles or challenges as far as chases, depending on the type of chase it is. So now we get into encounters. So investigation encounters, social encounters, social contests, snipers, hacking. Looks like there's quite a lot in this book, I'll tell you that much. Poison. Realistic versus cinematic poisons. Yes, you only live twice. I have to laugh because if I remember right, it is you only live twice, where Bond is, he's getting bathed by like 2 or 3 geishas, and his contact, his ally, talk about one of the women. He's like, yes, she is very sexiful. It's like, what? All right, running the game. The basic loop, at its most basic level, being the game master, simply involves describing a scene, asking the players what they do, and deciding the outcome of their actions. This basic loop is repeated over and over again in a variety of ways throughout the game, and everything else flows from there. You know, that's pretty true. So it looks as if here we have got just a lot of tips for the game master. Building tension. In medias res. Improvising. That can be really tough, especially for people who are new to role-playing games. is improvising as far as what the players, when the players go off script, which is a constant thing. So we're talking about setting here. From my understanding, the cinematic adventures will include new rules for that particular setting, and then an adventure. Now, just recently, I saw the PDF come out, and I forget what the title is for it. It's like a rules tome for Everyday Heroes, and it looks as if it collects all those additional rules from the cinematic adventures and puts them all in one volume. And that is also something like 400 pages long. But this is something that just recently came out. So here we've got our NPCs, Mob Kingpin, who looks suspiciously like the Kingpin, cult leaders, cultists, law enforcement, military, mad scientist, slasher. Now we're getting into animals. Dog, alligator, camel, black bear. Historic and prehistoric NPCs. Interesting. Ancient warrior. Ancient hunter. Ancient shaman. Sword master. Science fiction NPCs. Alien abductor. Alien bug. God from beyond. Little mythos action there, maybe. Flaming Heron says they've got a friend who hasn't got a car and has to lug all his books on the train and bus to play games. As an adult, that'd be a bummer. Really would be. All right, so we've got demons, vampires, zombies. So it looks as if we wrap up the book with our bestiary here. The Mummy Lord. So creating new allies and opponents. And then we're going to go, looks like we've got some appendices. So changes from the 5e rules. I guess it's only one appendix. Then we've got our index. Character sheets. Dual-sided. I guess not. I guess it's 3-page. Then we've got a sheet for places, vehicle sheet, and then we've got our open game license. All right. So that is a look inside Everyday Heroes from Evil Genius Games. Of course, this is the core rule book, and I will have a review of this in the very near future. I'm going to say it wasn't laying flat. The spine was kind of off a little bit, but that was a bit, you could tell, you may have even heard it as I was flipping through some of the pages, kind of sticking together. You can tell that this was very recently printed. So don't have it on my hands, though. That's a good thing. All right. So anyway, I will have a review of Everyday Heroes in the very near future. So I had mentioned previously that this is going to be Everyday Heroes Week. So on tomorrow's show, we're going to take a look at 2 of these cinematic adventures. We're going to take a look at The Crow, as well as Escape from New York. Snake Plissken, I thought you were dead. I remember going to see Escape from New York with my brother and a couple of our friends. And I don't know, I was what, maybe 13 when it came out? Yeah, when I was like a teenager, I looked older, so I never got stopped. I mean, most people didn't get stopped going into R-rated movies, but I did have some friends who couldn't get into R-rated movies. Elliot and I, we never had any problem. All right, so those are the two cinematic adventures I'm going to take a look at on tomorrow's show. And then we are going to take a peek at Rambo, as well as Universal Soldier on Thursday's show. So there we have it. Flaming Heron says it's a good system, just yet to run a game using it. So I think Flaming Heron is talking about Everyday Heroes. All righty then. So that is it for this time out. Of course, if you like the video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell. It'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central right here on YouTube. It'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my first look at the Pathfinder 2nd Edition Remastered Project Player Core from Paizo Inc. Yes, that is my latest video. I also shared my review of the Deadlands box set for Savage Worlds Adventure Edition, and I shared a review of Cults of RuneQuest, The Lightbringers. So all of those popped up over the last few days. So by all means, be sure to give them a peek. Yes, I do have copies of the core and GM core, the player core and GM core, that I'm going to be giving away to one lucky viewer. Check out the first look video for the player's core for Pathfinder 2E Remastered. I will tell you how to get into the running. You have to comment on both the player core and the GM core videos. That's part of it. So I'll give you that much. So I will have the GM core first look in the next few days. Nice. All right. So if you're watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, tip of the cap to you, because not only are you keeping me company, you're keeping each other company as I'm flipping through a role-playing game book and commenting about what I'm seeing or unboxing a board game. So I really appreciate the fact that you entertain yourselves sometimes in chat. But of course, I know a lot of you out there, you don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. I really do appreciate you taking time out to watch any of the videos here on the Gaming Gang channel. Thank you very, very kindly. All right, everybody, enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. Of course, I'm Jeff McAleer. I'll be back tomorrow. And as always, I hope all of you out there get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.